What is going on, everyone? It's LP, writer and creator of the comic books Nyobi and Savage Sin. And I did promise that I would talk about the sensei, Mr. Ben Dunn, in my very next video. And here we are. We're at the very next video. And there he is, the sensei himself, Mr. Ben Dunn. Now, I love this man. And, there are some people out there, my trolls, if you will, that think that Ben Dunn and I are on the outs or there's some sort of problem. Because I'm not with Antarctic, that means somehow I'm not still connected with Mr. Dunn. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, let me show you a sneak peek here of Tomorrow Girl Team Up #1 featuring Nyobi right there. Made by the sensei. This is a book that the sensei is working on with my blessing as Nyobi as the guest star in the first Team Up #1 for Tomorrow Girl. Also has Penguina in it. Art by Dan Cornelio, and story by yours truly, which is Ben Dunn and Mr. David Furr, and it's coming soon. So yes, things between me and the sensei are absolutely fine. In fact, you will also get my 10-page backup story in the milestone issue of Ninja High School 200. So let's go see what's going on now, though, is that the AP sensei is asking. He's asking a question, and that question is, should comic artists criticize other comic book artists? And the answer is no. I'll just tell you right now, the answer is no. Because it doesn't add anything, right? It's all about trying to benefit yourself by putting someone else down, right? It's the crabs in the bucket sort of mentality. I'm going to pull you down in an effort to pull myself up. And so that helps absolutely no one, right? The only people that should be criticizing anything is someone that you don't know, right? So like if someone picked up my book and I never met them before, that's a valid criticism because there is no implied bias, whether it's pro or against. The minute you add bias into it, your criticism becomes invalid. Now let's see what the sensei says, and then we'll go from there. Lay it on us, Mr. Ben Dunn.
Everyone, it's Ben Dunn. It's a Sunday, relaxing in my office, listening to podcasts on YouTube, and listening to one particular one where an artist, I won't say who he is criticizing another artist.
I will say who it is. What he's referring to is Ethan Van Sciver criticizing the artwork of Mike S. Miller. If you follow Ethan on YouTube or on his Twitter, you would see that this has been ongoing now for the last couple of days. And 9 out of 10, this is what the sensei is referring to. Let's get back to him.
On his work. And this made me feel a little uncomfortable. Now, don't get me wrong. Artists have been criticizing each other for a long time. However, I think it's really bad etiquette for one artist to critique another artist. It's just...
I agree. It's like saying I'm better than you in a subject which is subjective to the human eye. Art is in the eye of the beholder. We've heard that saying before, right? So the only reason for someone to do that, especially in a public eye, is to publicly scrutinize someone else's artwork to say, hey, look, this is trash. Mine is better. You should buy mine and not what this guy does. That would be the only reason to do it. And that doesn't serve to uplift comic books. That doesn't serve to uplift the comic book community. All that serves is to uplift that one person at the sake of someone else. We don't do that here.
It's really one of those, to me, an unwritten rule that sort of like casting, the first stone, basically. We as artists, especially in comic books, are unique. We try to create a style that's identifiable of our own. Now, granted, there is something to be said about an artist who can really master, anatomy, backgrounds, perspective, things like that. It's, and those arts are fantastic. I envy them, but there are artists who are also creating a style all their own. a lot of artists over the years, over the centuries, have moved the art form forward by just, experimenting with different designs. Pablo Picasso, Salvador Dali, many artists over the years have created their own unique vision. That holds true in comic books as well. Comic book artists, the ones that we remember, are the ones who created styles that we can easily identify with, easily, giving us something unique. You know, I just think it's really bad behavior and very bad etiquette, and you have to be kind of a big jerk to criticize.
Yes. And this is what we've been saying for forever now, is that you kind of do have to be a jerk, an asshole, a dickwad, a douchebag, the biggest shitbag in comics, Ethan Van Sciver, to go sit there and tear down someone else's artwork just so he can feel like he's a big man and earn $20 in super chats that night. Because that's what it's all about. Like, make no mistake, it's hate content, right? It's conflict content, conflict marketing. It is battle content, whatever you want to phrase it as. It's me versus you sort of mentality. And it's every man for himself. And it doesn't matter if what I say hurts this other guy. It doesn't matter if it hurts them financially, emotionally, mentally. It doesn't matter if it hurts their reputation, the optics. None of that matters as long as it financially benefits me. That's the mentality of how these people think.
As another artist's, style, criticize his work. Art is something personal, something unique to that particular artist. It's one thing to convince people to pay for that particular art, but it's another thing for that artist itself to want to create something uniquely its own. I have no problem with other artists wanting to experiment, doing things like that. In fact, I highly encourage. I love seeing, different styles. I love seeing artists doing something new and different. Now, I'll grant it. There are certain styles, and certain artists that don't really gel with me. That's fine. I don't go around criticizing it. I don't go around lambasting it, saying that it's, unworthy of the public consumption. I let it be. I let the market speak for itself. And you should, I'm just.
And that's the other problem, is that guys like Ethan Van Sciver and crew don't let the market speak for itself. They want to try and influence the market, manipulate the market, be the market. They want to eliminate competition from the market. That's why they do what they do, because the market is small. It's not what it used to be in comic books. We all know that by now. And so everyone is trying to be the king of a kingdom that has basically no one in it anymore.
I'm speaking to my fellow artists. You should, look inwards and see for yourself. Are you so confident in your ability that you won't be able to take criticism yourself? I sort of look at, back in the day, there were rivalries among artists, and there's nothing wrong with that, to be honest. I mean, when we had a bullpen back in the day when artists were together, we made it our mission to try to outdo each other.
Yes, but that was in the spirit of friendly competition. It wasn't as malicious as it is now. It's not as cutthroat. It's not as backstabbing. It's not as treacherous, right? These guys do not care about anyone else around them but themselves. That's why they put other people down. That's why they make the attacks. That's why they do the trolling. That's why they tell you this guy sucks, but my shit is the bomb. That is why they do what they do. Okay, they don't care about uplifting comics. They don't care about doing what's best for the industry. They care about what's doing best for them. And once you learn that, then this treacherous waters, becomes a little bit easier to navigate, because now you know what to look out for.
We shared ideas. We looked at what our one artist did and how they did it, and how we could improve on that. I used to look at other people, artists, all the time and say, wow, I really like the way this guy drew this particular thing. I'm going to see how he did it and incorporate it in my own work. I'm always trying to improve ways to make my art better. I mean, I am not a great artist by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel
He's so humble. That's Ben fucking Dunn right there, the creator of Ninja High School, Warrior Nun, the fucking father of Antarctic Press, a company that's been around for 40 years. 40 years, John. Years. You're a great artist. You also did the Marvel manga verse. You've done so much work, man. You've done a lot of covers for me. You've done a lot of covers for other people. You are essentially the Stan Lee of the independent comic book industry, Ben. Don't sell yourself short. But I understand. Everyone needs to be a little humble in this space. And some people like Van Sciver don't know how to do that.
like I've done well enough that I have a certain cadre of supporters, and I'm doing everything I can to win over new supporters and keep the old supporters happy and satisfied. I just don't see what the point is of criticizing somebody else's art.
Well, again, I explained it. It's to put someone else down in order to prop themselves up, right? So if I say Ben Dunn's art sucks, look at this. The hand is all wrong. He doesn't know how to draw feet. The characters look too short. They're all out of proportion. But, look at my artwork. My artwork is better. My artwork is exciting. It's dynamic. We're breaking panels. We're showing action. Everything is aligned and in perspective. So you should buy mine and not Ben Dunn's. That's why they do it. It's malicious.
If you think about it, and this is something just as far as I'm concerned, would artists like Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, the legends of art now, would they be able to find employment now? With their particular styles? Do you think any comic book company, if Jack Kirby were to come up right now, showing his portfolio to somebody, do you think they'd be hired? I highly doubt it. The thing about it was that they were in the right place at the right time, creating a certain style that people really enjoyed. And this is what I think is, detrimental to us as a creative community, is our constant nagging, trying to improve somebody else's work, trying.
Oh, no. That's not what they're doing at all, Sensei. You give them too much benefit of the doubt that their criticism is about trying to improve someone else's work. They don't care about them improving. In fact, they would like them to get worse. Reason why is so, again, that they can upsell what it is that they are doing. I'm not going to criticize my enemy in the hopes that they get better and overtake me. That's not why I do it at all. That's not why anyone does it, right? The reason why people do it is to put that person down in the public eye to convince others that, yeah, their work sucks and my work is what you should be buying. It is competition. It is cutthroat competition. It's not about helping anyone at all. Don't be so naive to think that.
I mean, it's one thing, to talk to somebody personally on a one-to-one level, saying that you don't like, but this way looks to yourself, and find ways to, and then as another artist, be able to take criticism so that you can improve. I mean, I think unless you're an editor, unless you're paying somebody working for you, you really don't have any right to criticize somebody else's art. If I'm hiring you to create art for me, I have the right to criticize it because I'm paying you. But if you're an artist and you have no skin in the game of another person's creation, then really shut your mouth. Don't be a jerk. Don't be a-hole about it. Stick to your own work. Look in the mirror and say, is my art better than the art I'm criticizing? What right do I have to criticize somebody else's art? I mean, yeah, you could talk about it, but you know what? I don't think that's a good look. I don't think that makes you a better person because you just happen to criticize somebody else's art.
But that's what they think, though. They think that they are on the king of the mountain. They think that they are the best. They think that you should think that they're the best. And the way that they try and convince you to do that is by putting someone else down, right? We've seen it with EVS and Mike S. Miller. EVS criticizing his hands, his anatomy, having people redraw a picture is insulting, by the way, right? Here, one of the things that I've noticed within the independent comic books community, and maybe goes on in the mainstream, but I don't see it, is other artists critiquing and then correcting art. There is no correcting art because art is, again, subjective, right? There is no right way to do art. There's no wrong way to do art. Art is something that comes from the soul, right? You can have bad art, good art, but it's still art. And there's nothing to correct because it's one person's vision, not yours. That's how it's supposed to work.
Art. It seems very odd and strange to me why you would even bother to criticize somebody else's art unless you're paying for it. If you're paying for it, that's one thing. If I'm a consumer and I'm buying somebody's comic book and I don't like the art, I have a right to complain because I'm paying for it.
And that's the narrative that they go on. Well, we're consumers. We're buying Eric July's work. We're criticizing Mike Miller's artwork. And we have a right to criticize. But they don't really do it from a place of good faith, do they? Because they gone into it already with a particular bias of hate. And so no matter what you do, no matter what you put out, no matter how good it is, how stellar it is, if someone comes in with a negative bias against you, they're never going to put you over. They're never going to say it's good. I can't tell you how many times when I'm in favor of someone and they're like, yeah, Nyobi's a great book. And then as soon as something goes wrong and you fall out of favor, oh, it's trash. It sucks. It's the biggest fucking piece of garbage I ever read in my life. Well, which is it? When you liked me, it was cool. When you hate me, it's not, right? So people don't really have integrity. They don't really have an opinion. They just go with the flow. Whatever benefits them at that moment in time is their viewpoint. And that's it. I mean, that's just how the world works.
But if you're a fellow artist criticizing another fellow artist, then you have no right to complain, really. You just need to shut your mouth and work on your own work.
I need to clip that and run that over and over and over again until people get that message. You need to shut your own mouth and focus on your own shit. And if you don't have any shit, which is like people like One Gun, Alvin, doesn't have any shit, maybe you should make some shit. You know what I mean? Like it's put up or shut up time at this point, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we're at. Put up or shut up.
Make your work the best it can be. Win over new readers, win over new fans. That's what you should be focusing on and not criticizing what other people are doing. It's none of your business. Really. It
is not their business, but they make it their business. And the reason why they make it their business is because they make money from tearing down someone else, right? If YouTube, let me put it to you this way, and maybe I should write a letter to YouTube explaining to them how trolling is hurting everyone and how they should not allow online trolling on their platform, and that if someone is found trolling another person, that they should be removed. And then people are going to complain, well, that's an infringement of freedom of speech. Tough, don't care. Tough, don't care, right? YouTube can remove you for whatever reason, essentially, that they want. Bullying, harassment, which is what all trolling is, right? So fuck your free speech. If you're out there tearing someone else down, you are hurting their business, you're costing them money, you are causing trouble in their life, you should be removed permanently, right? That's just the way it should go down. I should write a letter explaining to them all of this stuff. Because could you imagine, right, if Ethan Van Sciver and crew were no longer able to make super chat money? Let's just say YouTube took super chats away altogether. Do you think they would still be doing what they would be doing? Do you think their heart and soul against Eric July or this piece of art that Mike has drawn is so bad that they're willing to go and waste their time live streaming about it for 3 hours and make no money if there was no super chats? No, they wouldn't. So what does that tell you about their mission? It tells you that their mission is bullshit because they only care about that particular mission, that particular thing, as long as it financially benefits them. The minute you take that part away, the minute you take super chats away, and Ethan can't, get fucking a $20, $10, $5, $50 chat, make $1,000 a night on Eric July, he would fucking stop it because it doesn't pay him. So it's not like he really cares about it. They'll just make shit up just to make money. And that's the problem, right? That's the problem we're in.
We need to learn to mind our own business. We need to focus on what's important to us and to our customers. We know we cannot afford to spend and waste time criticizing the endeavors of others, because it's negative, it's detrimental, and it does not do anything to help improve the industry in comics and art in general. So anyway, that's really all I have to say. Hope you enjoy your Sunday. Until next time, this is Ben Dunn signing off.
And so every word he said there is absolutely correct. But, as much as I love the sensei, he is a little bit naive, right? Like the sensei is the Mr. Miyagi of the comic book world. He's going to tell you how things should be, especially the way things were back in the 80s and 90s, and maybe even in the early 2000s. Before YouTube, before people had a financial interest in trolling each other, right? The minute that trolling became an online business, when hate content became an online business, friendships went down the drain. I watched Ethan Van Sciver throw away his friendship with Dan Fraga for a $20 super chat, right? Everyone's just like, yeah, man, the world is shit. Society is falling apart. I don't want to be trading toilet paper out of the backseat of my car again. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And it doesn't matter who falls in the wake of that. Selfish, right? The key word there is everyone is fucking selfish. So selfish that they're willing to backstab friends for money. And that's why they criticize each other. That's why they bash each other. That's why they bully each other. That's why they betray each other. It's all about trying to make money without having to go get an actual job, right? That's what this is all about. Everyone wants to have that side hustle, that side income, whether it's comic books, YouTube, OnlyFans, playing gigs on the weekend, selling fucking tie-dyed shirts on the internet, whatever it is. No one actually wants to work a real job anymore. We all want to be paid to do shit that we want and the shit that we like. And the unfortunate part is it's really easy to just, take a shit on someone because drama sells. And as long as drama continues to sell, people are going to continue to watch it. Shitbags are going to continue to do it. And the cycle will never stop. So what has to happen is YouTube has to stop monetizing drama. And then you're going to see a lot of this go away. Guys, my name is LP. That's my 2 cents here on the thoughts of the sensei. I'm absolutely in agreement with him. I just don't think anyone's going to listen to him. I don't even think anyone's going to listen to me. But as long as we're out here documenting this stuff, let's put it out there in the public eye and at least let you guys know what is going on in the world of comic books, indie comic books, and mainstream. And if you're interested in my comic book, Nyobi and Savage Sin, just stay tuned from a word from our sponsor. And just who is today's sponsor? Well, it's me, Austin. It's been me all along. And we want to thank everyone for coming out for the Nyobi Outbreak 4 Kickstarter. Thank you very much for doing that. And if you want to catch up on Nyobi, if you missed out on the Kickstarter, it's still not a problem, guys. You can come to my eBay store right here, ebay.com, USR, Nyobicomics. You can go ahead and take a scroll through. I have lots of items here, over 100 items listed to be exact. And you can pick through a variety of different variant covers, back issues, foils. All the spoils of war are right here for you to come over and check out on the Nyobi eBay store. We'll see you soon.